Good morning, everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Charlie, we have some big people in the house. I'm excited. Irene, how you doing? Sumaila, how you doing? Isaac, how you doing? Good to have you on the show, on this book club, Charlie. We are here to learn. We are here to get everybody's perspective on the books that we are reading. And this month, or at least this period, we are reading the book, The Millionaire Next Door. It's been an eye-opening book. I mean, as I keep saying all the time, a lot of the information that we read, it's common sense. It's like we've known about it since we began our lives. I mean, our parents have mentioned it, but the thing is, our parents themselves, most of them were not practicing some of these things, and we have now become adults. And guess what? Most of us are not practicing some of these things. And so when you read some of these things in the book, and then you realize that others have done it and they are getting successful, they are reaping the benefits out of it, then you wonder, why didn't I start it earlier? But here's the little snag. After you have asked yourself these questions, why didn't I start this one early on? Why didn't I do it? Why was I not disciplined? Then we go on and still we don't do it. And so it makes you wonder, human being waiting the wrong way. You have seen others doing the very thing that you know works, and they're actually getting the benefits, they're actually getting the results. Yet you are still not practicing it. And so it's really, really something. It's one of the things that I still don't understand. And I hope that one of these days I will get enough resources to actually do a research to understand why human being wanna head hard like that. Charlie, no easy. Anyway, good to have you here this morning. As we do it every Saturday morning at 7 a.m., we are here. Well, first of all, as we do it, we select a book every month. This year, we started with a bit of a difference. We actually outlined about 5 books to read in the first quarter. So this year, we are pushing ourselves. And this is actually the 3rd book, if I'm not, this is the 2nd book we are reading already. And this is actually the completion point. I mean, we've actually finished. I have finished it, and I'm sure a lot of people in the group have also finished the book. And so we'll be moving on to the next book, which we'll share at the end of the session. But today, we're going to wrap up by discussing some of the principles in this book. But before then, let's hear from everybody how their week has been. So Irene, good to have you back. I saw you joined earlier, and then your network decided that you have to go back. So welcome back, Irene. How has your week been? Irene, we can't hear you.
Good morning, Dr. Kelvin and everybody. Very good, very good. How about yours?
Very well. I mean, it's one of those weeks. I mean, Charlie, you just have to take it like that. How for me?
Exactly. Exactly.
And Sumaila, can you hear?
Mine has been good too.
Good to have you, boss lady. Sumaila, how has your week been? Can you hear me? Okay, I think Sumaila is probably not hearing. Isaac, good to have you. Good morning. How has your week been?
Hi, good morning. It's okay. I mean, God is good. We went through it, I mean, safe and sound, so waiting to start another week.
Awesome. Now I know this is your first time here, so today we'll go easy on you. But Charlie, you have to fire. I don't know, Irene, where are the rest of your squad today? Today everybody's late, but we are not going to wait for everybody. We're going to zoom right off. And last week I was on the road, so I missed most of the action. Accra Kumasi Road, you'd have thought that by now there'll be internet on every, like it'll be internet 100% along the route, but there are still portions that don't have internet. But I think last week, Irene, what were some of the pointers that you guys discussed?
I think that last week, let me see. Some of the key things were, I think, around savings. Mamiya did a bit with us, about making sure that we are not, connecting. I remember that one key point is not connecting our savings accounts to our credit cards, because then it would be much easier to spend from the savings accounts. So she was like, a key thing would be, even a good thing would be to have your savings accounts, with a bank that doesn't have access to any mobile facilities or mobile apps, so that then the fact that you have to go to the bank to go and withdraw the money will make you desist or make you think twice about going for that money from the savings account. And then in relation to that, we talked about setting up standing orders if we feel that that's going to help us save. Because at the end of the day, we said that it's important to actually take out what you want to save first. So like, okay, so maybe if we can set up a standing order, so that then even before you see the money, then it's even before, yes, you get the money to spend. They've taken what they need to take. But a very important point that's now brought in line with this is that it all boils down to building the discipline. Because she said that even if you set up the standing order, you go and take the money before they withdraw from your account if you don't have the discipline. So we're like, it all boils down to the discipline at the end of the day. So we need to make sure that we are building those key disciplines in ourselves. Yeah, I think that was some of the key things that we discussed last week.
This point about discipline, it's not easy. I mean, I have a facility. My company has a facility in one of the banks, right? And me, I think the banks, they are set up to make you default. That one, they challenge. So the thing is, when money comes into the account, instead of doing it automatically debit, they want you to instruct them. So you're supposed to write a letter to tell them that take this money. Then when you do write the letter they don't take the money immediately. They will take the money like 3 or 4, sometimes a week later. Meanwhile, we too, I mean, as it is with most Ghanaian startups, Charlie, we need money right now. So you write the letter, the money is still there. Then you need to go and buy something. You just write the check and go and buy the thing. Then they come and the money is finished. Then how they will charge you interest. I think that's how they intentionally do that so that they will charge interest, But the reality is that we need to get the discipline. I mean, I agree with now. The discipline is far more important. The discipline is far more important than all the standing orders you can set up, because standing orders can be cancelled. After all, it's your money, so you have to develop the discipline, And that's one of the key things this book talks about. I mean, it gives so many examples about people who are ordinary guys like you and I, who through discipline have been able to achieve the millionaire status, And one of the key things that I picked up over the week, over the discussion last week, is that the discipline that gets you there is the same discipline that keeps you there, and it's quite a deep concept, because you don't see the people, the average guys who become millionaires, if they don't tell you that they are millionaires, or they don't show you their bank balance or their asset list, you will never assume that, you never think that they are millionaires, because their lives have not changed. They are still doing the same things pretty much they were doing before they became millionaires. And that's something that is, it hits me hard, because many of us, we aspire to become wealthy so that we can show it to people. People must know that I am wealthy. But indeed, look around you. There are so many wealthy guys. I mean, at least those that we know. I mean, somebody like the what's that old man? What's his name? Warren Buffett. Considering how rich that guy is, look at where he lives. I mean, you can just drive by the house and it's just an ordinary house. Nobody knows. I mean, you wouldn't assume that that's one of the richest men in the world, And so it tells you that the discipline is the key, and that discipline must stay with you even when the money starts coming, And it's very, very important. It's something that Charlie, it has changed a lot. It has rewired my brain. So I'm going to apply it significantly to my life. Sumaila, can you hear us now? Smiler, how's it going over there?
Yeah, Doc, I'm doing well.
Great, finally. How has your week been?
Yeah, it has been very tight. A lot of schedules moving up and down.
Charlie, how for you? But good to have you here. Hope you
yeah,
were
sure. Yes. I was part of the conversation last week.
Great. Okay, so let's get started. So, there's this thing the book talks about, the economic outpatient care. What do you guys think about that?
Yes. Well, for me, I'll first of all explain my understanding of the economic outpatient care. And then what I got to realize is that some of us, or maybe some people, have been fortunate enough that they have their parents who are actually taking care of them whilst they are still adults. So what happens is that if they probably, if they go in for a mortgage, their parents will help them to service that mortgage. If they go in for whatever they are doing, their parents have some supporting hand in it. So indirectly, it's almost as if their expenditure, their parents pay about 50% or 40% of every expenditure they are making in their monthly life or their weekly life. So my understanding of it is just that the parents are more or less like taking care of you as you are still an adult, which is not supposed to be the case. So what I realized also in the book is the fact that once you are benefiting from this economic outpatient care, there is that high propensity that, one, you are not going to be saving. Number two, you are not going to be disciplined with your expenditure. Number three, you are going to be a dependent person. Number four, I've seen that Ghana is a typical example of an economic outpatient country. Why? Because you can see that we are always waiting to get favors, support, and money from the external environment. We are not looking at generating things ourselves. So I feel like just see this Russia-Ukraine war. We see that's why our economy is in crisis. See, anything at all that happens from the external environment, it affects us hardly because we are dependent so much on them. So it is the same thing that applies to what the book you was trying to explain, relating it to us as human beings. He tried to also relate it to the fact that those that get inheritance from their parents, they are most likely not going to be saving. They are most likely going to be those that are not frugal to their expenditure. They spend a lot. So of course, they are going to be under accumulators of wealth instead of being prodigious accumulators of wealth. So I've seen that relationship, and I can also see some parts of the holy books. It tells you that the one who usually receives is most likely going to remain poorer and poorer than the one who usually give. So the giver, that's why, okay, maybe let me cut it short. The giver never lacks. So I have seen that scenario in this so much that I begin to rethink the whole thing. And I'm asking myself, why not one begin to look at how can you do things for yourself? How can you be self-dependent instead of always depending so much on people, looking forward to receive gifts, looking forward to receive things from people? Once you make your mindset that you are always going to be at the receiving end, of course, you will be at the receiving end, and you can never be a wealthy person. You will always be a dependent person, and you will forever remain poor. So maybe briefly, that's my understanding around the economic outpatient care talk.
Charlie. So then the question, at least to those who have kids, and I guess Sumaila, I don't know if Isaac has any kids, but then Sumaila and myself. So then what's the question? Are we supposed to help our children, or we are not supposed to help our children? How do we practicalize the information in the book?
Well, per my understanding of what he's saying, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't help our kids. But what I got directly from the book is that you should be able to instill some discipline in your kid. And then as part of that discipline, you should be able to also instill that kind of independence in your kids. Once you install these two values in your kids, then you are good to go. Because once they are disciplined and then they are also independent, what it means is that they are not always going to be dependent on you to do anything. They are going to be dependent on themselves. And once they become dependent on themselves, they are not going to be looking at your wealth to survive. So I got the picture that he's not saying that we shouldn't help our kids. Yes, you need to support them, be it financial or economical. But what I see in it much is that he talks so much about the children's education. You should be ready to make sure that you spend much to educate them well. Let them be of a good position to self-sustain themselves, but not to always be giving them the fish. So teach them how to fish, and then you are good. So that's what I got in it, though. But I don't know about you.
Well, I mean, yes, you are definitely right. I mean, it's about empowering the children to know what to do and how to get it done. I mean, there's a portion of the book where it talks about weakening the weak and strengthening the strong, where it compares two people, like a sister and a brother, like the parents of children, right? And then they realized that it was two different families, right? The first family, a teacher made a complaint to the mother that no, it was the child that complained to the mother that she's sitting in the front, and the teacher is always asking her questions, and the kid is like he can't answer the questions, and the mother decided that she would go and confront the teacher and ask the teacher to move the kid to the back, you know, and there were two out there. There are two ways that the book was saying you can handle this. because it's obvious if you are sitting in the front of the class, you're going to be asked questions most of the time, which means you're going to be forced to step up your game and be able to answer some of the questions, right? But if you have to move this child to the back, obviously it is going to create complacency. That child is not going to be participating in the class, and if the teacher is not conscious of this fact, they might leave that child out. So if indeed this child is an introvert, this child is shy, and you are trying to help this child, then the best thing would have been to actually encourage the child to stay in the front there and participate so that to bring up his or her confidence. But this parent decided rather to go and fight the teacher and get that child moved to the back. So in the book, they are saying that in this instance, they are weakening the weak because the child is already weak. And then you are putting the child in a place where nobody's going to help him or her come out of the weakness. So you are promoting that weakness in that child. So this child is going to remain dependent, as you said, Sumaila, for the rest of her life because the mother is going to solve all her problems for her. So you cannot now turn around and expect this child to suddenly be the biggest thing that ever happened. So sometimes, in fact, most times, we parents create the problems for ourselves in respect of our children. How are we handling some of these challenges in our children? If the child, for instance, is struggling with homework and you decide you're going to do the homework for that child, guess what? You're going to do that homework till the kingdom come. And there's another story in the book about that homework. So one child was struggling with homeworks and the father decided to do it for the child. And the father ended up doing project work for this child all the way through university. And so the question is the degree the guy got, is it for the father or is it for the child? Charlie. And the interesting thing, nowadays, people, there are agencies that actually do project work for people. And it begs the question, so what exactly are we doing? People are supposed to go to school to learn, to develop themselves, but there are agencies that are actually doing the work for them. So you have a whole cohort of supposedly educated people who really don't know jack. And maybe that's why we find ourselves where we are, because the real education that people are supposed to get, they are not getting. Of course, we know first of all, the education itself, formal education really is not a major factor when it comes to success. It's a factor, but not the major factor. There's something called drive, motivation, all these things are there, and they place far higher than just having a formal education, because there are people who have made significant wealth who did not have much formal education. So I'm not saying formal education is bad, but I'm saying that there are other things that actually rank higher than formal education. And in fact, if you have some of these things like the drive I'm talking about, the motivation, the dream, the vision, it actually you can actually see it in how you apply yourself even during the formal education that you're in. You see one child who has been encouraged to open up, to always go above and beyond what is expected of him or her. He is going to show it in the education. And so if this child, for instance, does not finish school because he's found an opportunity to go and do something, would you say no? Actually, sometimes we talk about how people drop out of school, to start business and all that, and we are jealous. We want to also drop out of school and go and do the same. But do you have the same motivation? Do you have the same upbringing? So it plays a major role how we raise our children. So I think as parents, we owe it a duty to our children to learn how to do this parenting thing the right way. Otherwise, Charlie, we are going to have a tough time in the future because our children are going to remain dependent on us. Imagine your waist is paining you, you are retired and your waist is paining you, and then you have to now go and work and keep your children, sustain your children. That's good. That's a big no-no. And Irene, what do you think?
It's true, Pa. I guess that you guys have summarized the economic outpatient care perfectly, because as it's saying, we need to, build the disciplines from the start. I think what stood out for me was a part where they said that for parents who actually don't want their children to be, economically dependent on them at the end of the day, it says that sometimes they pass away even before their kids realize that. So their parents were actually rich, right? So it means that they modeled their frugality, they modeled the kind of discipline that they knew would make their kids succeed, right? And so for me, I think it's very important that we are getting this information as you and Sumala were discussing. Okay, so what can we do when it comes to our own kids, right? Because as you cited the example, if we are not careful, if we don't have the information, we are going to end up further weakening our kids because, we feel that we're supporting them. I think that in the book, that's generally what it says. The parents kept feeling that they were supporting their kids. Oh, they are not living in a nice neighborhood. Oh, let me give them some $10,000. oh, the kids need to go to private school. Okay, let me pay for this, right? So they felt that they were supporting their kids. By the end of the day, it seems that they are going to end up doing more harm than good. You know, there was this example where this couple wrote to the authors, and then they were like, oh, so they want to know how much is in the is in the trust or bank account or something of the lady's mother, because I don't know, like they were trying to project with her money or something like that. I mean, imagine the extent to which it got. How can somebody be alive and they are trying to, project how much you're going to get when she passes on, right? And this is all because that lady's mother had been supporting them financially, had been paying for their kids' tuition, had been helping them to pay for their mortgage and all that, right? So I guess that is very good that we're getting the information, so that then we know what things we should support. I think for me, basically the key thing that they mentioned was education. Like they really spoke a lot about this, but then I think that education is the key place where they indicated that we should support, right? So I guess that for all of us, it's key for us to model the kind of things that we want our kids to have at the end of the day, and then not have them economically dependent. Because Charlie, when we are old, we can't be supporting them anymore. And then I think that other things for me, another interesting thing was this discussion that they had with millionaires, where they were discussing how to pass on their estates when they eventually died. And one key thing that stood out for me was how important it is to have the right information, because they were saying that the millionaires in those studies, right, majority of them had, lawyers or attorneys, or, people who had real information about how to pass on the estate, and then they leaned on these people for advice, right? So I think that this goes back to getting the right kind of information to inform our decisions, right? Because I mean, it's even a whole reason why we have book club, right? Because people have gone ahead and then gotten the knowledge. So why don't you go ahead and then learn from them than going to, to go and figure it out ourselves and then make mistakes along the way. So for me, I guess that a key thing for all of us too would be to make a plan, to invest in the right kind of education, when it comes to our finances in general, and then when it comes to, wills, essays as well, so that at the end of the day, we don't cause further trouble or anything like that when one day we pass on. And I think that in the last part, one interesting thing that caught my attention, right, was that as they were winding down, they were like, so people really asked them a lot, okay, so what are the key things that millionaires invest in? What are the key businesses that millionaires do? Why are they rich? And then they said that they would love to say, oh, so these are the top 10 things, or these are the top 10 professions that we should go and do. These are the top 10 businesses. These are the top 10 investments that we should make. But then basically, they said that it doesn't really matter if at the end of the day, we still don't have the character and the discipline in place, right? Because yes, we might be in a profession that really can bring us a lot of money. We might be running a business that really brings us a lot of money. But if it comes and we don't know the principles that we've learned in these books, right? And then it comes and then we are living the flashy lifestyle. We're not saving for the future. We are not really being disciplined about our money. Even though we are in a profession that is gaining us a lot of money, we are going to end up spending it all, right? So it doesn't really matter the profession as they are saying, but then it boils down to the discipline we're talking about at the beginning, right? So I think that for me, that was one key thing that stood out. So it doesn't really, well, maybe it could be like, I don't know, I'm trying to say that, yes, so maybe the industry we are in could support, but even if we are not disciplined at the end of the day, it still won't really make a difference. And so I think that for me, those are the key things so far. Yeah. So back to Dr. Kelvin.
Nice. So, I mean, one key thing you said, or you kept saying, is the modeling. So, I mean, if as a parent, you yourself, you're not doing the right things, it means that somebody is observing all these that you're doing and is going to do similar. So it comes back to you. You see, the children didn't decide to be born. You decided to born them. So it is your responsibility to make sure that you are teaching them the right thing, so that they don't get the wrong habits, because it's much more difficult to break a bad habit than to learn a good habit. So we as parents or we as adults, you know, we are the first models of those that we bring into this world. So we have to make sure that we ourselves are doing the right things. We are putting the right measures in place, you know, such that our children will pick some of these things, because unconscious learning is actually, it happens more often or much easier than the conscious learning. I mean, conscious learning, when you're actually sitting down to learn for an exam, is tough. But if you had paid attention in class and participated in all the class activities, you realize that it comes more naturally to you, you see. And it's the same way with our children. You know, they observe, they are watching you, you see. And that's one of the reasons why, I mean, I like this book club, because it's forcing me to read. And my children are seeing me read, you know, they are seeing me read. And guess what? They're also reading. I mean, they won't go to sleep unless somebody goes to read with them. Sometimes they themselves will read the books, you know. So at least unconsciously, they are picking up the habit of reading, you know, without me necessarily telling them that they should go and read, just because they see me doing it. You know, it's a good habit to have, you know, because in this day and age where there's so many distractions, I mean, we can't do much about the distraction, because hey, it's there, you know, the phone, the TV, the laptop, the tablet. I mean, there are so many distractions. Even if you ban all these things from your house, they go to school and they are going to be exposed to them. I mean, the teachers would even tell them that when you go home, take daddy's phone and do this and that, you know. So do you then prevent the child from picking the phone? It's so tough. But in spite of the distraction, in spite of all these challenges, let them also see the good side. Let them also see the good habits that you are practicing, so that they will pick it up, they will pick them up, you know. So modeling, I mean, that's the key word, modeling. It's very, very important that we make sure that we ourselves are doing the right things. And for us to know the right things, we have to learn, you know, we have to read. Reading is one of the easiest ways to pick up good things. And it's not just about reading anything, even though, yes, it's better to read anything than not to read at all. But you see, there are people who have done things. There are people that we can model after. There are so many role models that you don't even have to meet, and they've written about the thing. Unfortunately, a lot of our African people, we don't write books. Or when we write books, it's just bashing government and other things. We need role models as people, as Africans. We need people who are like us, who have made it to write books, you know, so that we can learn, or we can lean on their successes and failures, and you know, get ahead. You know, everybody, any of the successful people you can think about, they speak highly of mentorship. You see, mentorship is a key part of what made them who they are. You know, unfortunately, it's missing from a lot of our culture, and so we really have to, you know, be the change. We ourselves need to be the change that we are aspiring to become, I mean, or to see in other people. So we need to start leaving a blueprint. We need to start leaving a path for the up and coming to also follow, which means we have no choice than to be successful in whatever we have chosen to do. So, Charlie, the weight is heavy on our head, but we have to make it happen, because the Bible says that the Lord will not allow you to be tested beyond your capacity. So it means that whatever you're going through right now, you can overcome it. So let's push ourselves and overcome them. Welcome, Lolonyo. Welcome, Crystal. How has your week been? Also, how has your week been? And then, Lolonyo, how has your week been as well? Can you hear us?
Yes. The week has been powerful.
Wonderful, wonderful. Are you done with the book, or you are still on it?
I'm still on it.
And then you are behind. You have to catch up.
I'm behind. Yes. With this book, I'm behind.
We have finished this book, so we are moving on to the next one.
Yes. I'm very much aware, but I'll try and read. I'll read it, and then read the new one to along.
Nice one. But I mean, what are some of the points you have picked up so far?
I think I'll jump on what we're discussing right now.
Okay.
And I believe that what we're talking about, that our children are really observing us and learning from us. It is very, very true. What I've even observed is that, you see, our local languages we speak. Our children never go to school and sit down in the classroom and learn our local languages. It's the one we speak to them as we are speaking in the house. Then they are also learning, they are picking whatever we say in the house. So you see that somebody can speak perfect Efe, somebody can speak perfect tree, somebody can speak perfect Gan. The child didn't go to sit in the classroom to learn the language. The person learned the language from us as we were speaking to the child and all that. So it's very true that they are observing everything we do, and then and also apply. So it is very, very good that we try to teach them the right way. What we didn't want to experience, we teach them differently, so that their experience will be different. So it's good that we are trying to read, and whatever we are reading, the best thing to do is to apply it, because sometimes we can be reading and not apply. So if you are reading, we are not applying, it means that we'll still be the same old people. So at least whatever we are reading, we should try and apply, so that they will see us doing new things, and then the new things we are doing, they will see that, okay, this is how we did it. So they will also learn and be able to apply for the better. In Africa, our mind mostly is that our children should grow up and come and take care of us, and not that we will leave an inheritance for them. So most people are training their children, so that are educating them, so that they will grow up and come and be the ones taking care of them. I think there has to be a paradigm shift on that. You have to let them know that, you don't have to nurture your children so that they will grow up and come and be taken care of. You should rather be able to invest and do things for yourself, so that as you are training them to go and become independent of you and be able to fend for themselves, and not that you will become a liability for them, so that they will be always coming back to take care of you and all that. So I believe that we can show them a better way to go. Thank you very much.
But the children are the investments. So an investment must always pay you dividends. What are you saying, Master?
That's the African mentality most of the time. Whites or the foreigners, or if you go outside, the Western people, they don't train their children with the mind that he will grow up and come and take care of him or her. No, at least that's why they have investments. They try to do things better and invest for themselves. Make sure that they have a support system that's able to support them whilst they are on retirement. So that because most of the time, parents, when in Africa, for example, parents are still on retirement and still taking care of their children whilst they are in school. Yeah, in school, because in Africa, most of the time, we don't marry early. Guys marry 35, going 30, 35, 40 years going before they get married. So by the time your children is 20 years, you are on retirement and you are still taking care of the child, either in the university or somewhere. So you see that even whilst you are supposed to be resting at that time and enjoying your investments, you are still using your retirement money to be taking care of your child and all that. And so it's all part of the shifting we have to learn, so that we can be able to impart that to our children too, so that they will grow up knowing that it's not that you are educating your child so that he will grow up and come and take care of you, but you are taking care of him so that he will grow up and become independent and be able to take care of his family, so that then we keep going forward.
All right, but I disagree with you on the late marrying, because Africans actually marry early, or rather they start reproduction early. It's the late marriage thing is a new age thing, because now a lot of us are staying longer in school, especially the women. Because women are staying longer in school now, they are starting families a bit later. But the bigger issue is we don't plan our families well enough. So people are giving birth too late. So not that it's their first child though. They've been giving birth. They have 2, 3 children, 4 children already, and then they are still bonding. So they born in their late 30s, early 40s. They are still giving birth. So that when they are now no longer working, they still have children they have to fend for in primary school, secondary school, and then university. So that's the challenge. You know, elsewhere, there's a lot of planning that goes in some of these things. But of course, it's not a general thing there, because there are still people who don't do a lot of planning out there, you know. But the thing is, whatever be the case, the child didn't ask to be born. You decided to born that child. And so it is your responsibility that once I put this child out there, I need to make provision for this child. And that's that's a mindset that can indeed make a difference in how we approach life. Because a lot of us, you see, in the West, at least as far as I know, a significant proportion of people have debt. But the way they got into debt is that I want to go to school, you know, I want to go to university. So I take on a student loan and I go to university, right? Or I want to go to postgraduate, so I take on a loan and I do postgraduate. So I'm taking debt to better myself, to get a degree. Do you understand? So it's my own debt that I've collected. Here, a lot of us have burdens that have, like, we're not part of the people that got into that burden. What I mean is, especially for the firstborn, maybe secondborn, so the first people to graduate from school. Like, once you graduate, there's a demand on you to help the family. You know, so your parents have 5 children. You are the first person to finish university and you're the first one to get a proper job. Suddenly, it is your burden to pay the school fees of all the other children. You know, you are not part of the process of creating this burden, but you are suddenly saddled with that weight. You know, and so it creates an element of bitterness, an element of bitterness, because it's like you are limited in how much you can do, because all your salary is going to the family, so you are not able to develop yourself more. And then what happens is that, should you be able to help a sibling who now goes ahead of you and maybe does postgraduate and does something and is getting a better job, if that person now doesn't help you, then that bitterness is even potentiated. So there's a lot of bitterness that is bottled up in a lot of African families, and we have to find a way to break that cycle. And it starts with us. You know, as we are forming our families, we need to, you know, put the right measures in place to avoid that bitterness. And that's what one of the points the book was making. That so for instance, Irene mentioned that the will and the executors and all those things. If you do not establish your will to remove that element of bitterness, that element of I don't know how to put it, but I mean, if you've read that portion, you understand what I'm trying to say. It's like you need to find a way to make the will as fair as possible. You know, you cannot have a will and then, you know, seem to favor one person over the other person without any good reason. You know, because that would then potentiate the jealousy, the bitterness, and then by the time you realize there's not much love left in the family. And so we need to find ways and means of diluting that thing, or not letting it be there at all, because there's a lot of bitterness in Africa. In fact, I dare say, I mean, I don't have any research to back it, but I know that Africans die earlier. You know, Africans actually die early. We have a very low life expectancy because there's a lot of social inequality out there. But I also believe that some of this bitterness is the reason why Africans die early. You know, so we really have to deal with this thing so that we can enjoy life. As I keep saying, you see, long life is not a prayer point. You can pray for long life all you want, but if some of these measures are not put in place, even God can, like that, God is trying to bless you with a long life, but there's a lot of resistance. Bitterness is preventing the long life. Your lack of exercise is preventing the long life. I mean, Charlie, he's not going to come and change some of these things. We have to change it ourselves. So the long life is coming, but the layers of problems is preventing the long life from coming down. So you are praying, but you are still dying early. It's a problem, you see. Anyway, Lolong, are you there? Can we hear from you as well?
Hi, Doc, I'm here. I was just enjoying the conversation. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. How has your week been? And what?
My week has been great so far. Sorry, I joined late today.
Next time we'll bring King.
Forgive.
Nice one.
Anyway, so far an overview. So far, I think the persistent theme that runs through the book is frugality. The fact that you do not necessarily have to appear rich, even though you are. There's no point in telling the world how wealthy you are in your appearance or with the artifacts or things you own, even though that's what seems to be the norm these days. It's not a healthy practice according to what we've read through the through.
I think Lorena is having a challenge over there. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, not her.
All right. Okay, I
She's
think
back.
yeah. Please continue, Lorena. We lost you for a bit.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. So your wealth should rather show in your investments, in your accumulated wealth over the years. So yeah, frugality is what really runs through for the book for me. The fact that there's a need to save, and you should at least do it as early as possible. But then it's never too late to start anything. Just that if you are starting late, then you have to be very, very mean about it, in the sense that you would have to sacrifice a lot if you are starting late. So yeah, that's the little I can say. That's the main point that runs through for me.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Isaac, I hope you've been picking up some point. What are your initial impressions about what you've heard? Isaac, are you there?
Hi, I'm here.
Great. I know you haven't read the book, but I mean, I'm sure you heard a thing or two.
Yeah. So I'm learning the wealth creation starts not from when we are old, but when we are young, because of the things we pick from our parents.
Mm-hmm.
And now that we are already parents, we need to now focus on making sure our children get good habits, so that when they grow, they wouldn't struggle like some of us are struggling to make wealth now. Secondly, it's never too late, as the lady just said, to start making the efforts to get things in line. For us in this part of the world, our problem has always been what you said earlier, that you are doing well, and your sibling, whose problem is supposed to be that of for your parents, is just directed at you. So you have to fight a battle before you even start your own battle, then create your path.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the stats that the statistical service brought out, you realize that we are living here by magic. So we don't have enough disposable income to take care of ourselves and that of our parents and our sibling, who you have to pay his or her way through school. After that, if you are unlucky and the person is not working, you have to sort the person out until the person starts to work. They start to work, their first rent is on your neck. So we first of all, we have to make sure we increase our sources of income,
mm-hmm.
and be a little bit frugal. And we shouldn't live to impress. No one is watching. No one is watching like we are thinking. People are they are already struggling with their problems. So you are passing, right? They don't even see you. So we should just be aware that people are not really watching us like we think they are, and just live our life to, make the best out of the life. Yeah, I think, and I'm loving the discussion anyways. I'm paying attention, pa.
Awesome. Well, we Alfred, good to have you. We missed you, pa. How has your week been? Alfred, can you hear me? Okay, maybe he's still connecting. So for this book, it's the first time I read this book, it was so difficult because there are so many statistics. Charlie, this book is written from a research perspective, so it's not like It's not like somebody just writing their opinion. It's actually a research piece. And even though it's an old book, I mean, the research is from 1995, thereabouts. A lot of the conclusions are still applicable today. You know, and we know this because you see the success principles have not changed since man became a living being. Since God breathed the breath of life into man, the principles of success have not changed. You know, so it doesn't matter how old the book is. I mean, a book like Think and Grow Rich is older than my mother, and yet the information in there is still relevant today. You know, a book like what's The Richest Man in Babylon. The principles in that, the book itself was written in 1920 or so. And then the principles are dated as far back as 3,000 years ago. So it tells you that the principles of success have not changed. It's still the same principles that applied then that are applying now. And if you are able to grab these concepts and apply them to your life today, it doesn't matter how old you are, so long as you apply them today and you are consistent. I think that's what's missing. You know, sometimes when you read the book, you are fired up, you get some of the tips, you are fired up, you want to get going, but then 2 days later, the vim begins to die, and then by the end of the month there's no vim at all. You know, so consistency, that's why they say consistency is the key. If you can be consistent in the little things, you know, consistently paying yourself, is it 20% to 50%, whatever percentage you are paying yourself, if you're consistently doing that for a year, for 10 years, the results will show. You know, but most of the time we look at the issues that are around us. I mean, currently the whole country of Ghana is going through economic issues. It's a fact. Everybody in Ghana is going through it, right? Everybody's going through it. Everybody is struggling. Nobody's money is enough for them. Even people whose money was enough for them previously is not enough now, you know. And so complain about it, no? Unless you are complaining about it to somebody who doesn't live in Ghana, fine. But complain about it to me. Me too, I'm experiencing the same thing. But the bottom line is, in spite of the challenges, what can we do? What are we doing so that we can still maintain that consistency? Because the fact of the matter is that tomorrow will come. We will still be here. I mean, God being so good, we will still be alive tomorrow. How are we going to survive tomorrow if we cannot survive today? So we need to prepare for the tomorrow, you know, so that when the tomorrow comes, we are not caught ball watching, we are not found wanting, you know. So if we have to find ways and means to increase our income, of course, legal ways and means, you know. And you see, then I've been watching Shark Tank. I mean, this whole week, I spent the whole week literally watching Shark Tank. And the kind of business ideas that people are coming up with, of course, forget that they're in America. I mean, yes, being in America itself is a whole different ballgame, and I understand that. The point I'm trying to make is that the kind of ideas that people are coming up with, the people are turning into business. You know, it's like things it's like common sense things, like things that are so obvious. So why didn't I think about it? You know, and so it tells you that we need to begin to reorient our mind to look for opportunity in some of the most basic things out there, because there are so many opportunities here that we are overlooking. And indeed, in this day and age, if we don't find opportunities to improve ourselves, opportunities to actually expand our capacity to improve our income generating potential, and possibly even move out of employment and go and start some of these things full time, our story will not be the same, because the company that you're expecting them to even increase your salary, that company itself is struggling. So how can the struggling company now come and increase your salary? So it's hard everywhere. So we need to now start putting our thinking cap, not even thinking cap, because we've been thinking, Ghanaians are always thinking, no, it's time to put on your working cap, because it's time to put those thoughts into action. That is what's going to make the difference. Action. You see, action. I have a saying, faith, they say faith moves mountain, right? I mean, faith is what's going to get you the evidence of things not seen, but action is what actualizes your faith. You know, so by all means have faith, but if you don't act on the faith, that faith is useless, because it says
faith is an action word.
Yes, exactly. It says speak to the mountain. It didn't say think about speaking to the mountain. You have to speak, you have to act, you have to do something, you know. So by all means, let us act on some of the thoughts, because we have thought, hey, people, Charlie, some of us have thought, the hair, right now I have plenty gray hair in my head, Charlie, because of thinking. So right now I've stopped thinking, and I just act. Anyway, Smila's hand is up. Smila, what's up? Smile, are you there?
Yes, Doc. I was trying to unmute myself.
Go on.
Yes. So maybe I'll just start from where he stopped. Maybe it's just I'll start it with more or less like a question, sort of. I think there's this man who has been talking on TV and radio, And then what he asked was that if 3 birds are on a tree, and then 2 birds decide to fly, how many will be left on the tree? So that when he asked that question, of course, everybody told him that it will be left with 1 bird on the tree. Then he said 3 birds have decided to fly. 2 have decided to fly. They have not done anything. They have decided. So deciding alone is nothing. Until you fly, that is when an action has been taken. So I think most of us, we decide, but we actually don't act. Now, what I really wanted to say, Doc, is the fact that I also took 2 other key things I think is worth stressing again in this our discussion. And then one of it is that he stressed on the fact that how much time do you devote to planning your finances? How much time do you devote to planning yourself? This is something most of us do less about. And I can tell you that there has always been the saying that if you don't plan yourself, people will add you to their plans. So what it means is that most of us are just living people's plan, but not our own plan. And it is actually unfortunate if you are living someone's plan, because what it simply means is that you are contributing to the success of the person, but not to your own success. And that is what most of us are doing. We wake up and then we say, Nyamebe, then you go out, you just be roaming. Then someone will say, oh, do this. Then people are actually directing what you should do the whole day. So at the end of the day, you actually don't have a plan for yourself. So for me, I think he's actually asking us to go back to plan ourselves very well. At least daily planning, 5 a.m. club, and other books we have read. It has talked about planning. Yeah. We all need to take so much time in planning. Plan our finances, plan our daily lives, plan our monthly life, plan our annual life, so that you know daily, this is what I want to achieve. It's non-negotiable, but not a situation whereby you will always go and fit into someone's plan. Then what it simply means is that you are actually just existing but not living. That's what I would say about that particular one. And then existing and not living, that means you can never be a wealthy person. And if that is the case, I think that means you just escorted others to this world. You didn't come on your to achieve what you have been brought to achieve. So that is one aspect I thought I should share about the planning aspect. Then the second thing he also talked about, which I think is also important, that it needs to be re-echoed in what we are discussing, is the fact that I still don't know how to capture how he put it. But in essence, he was trying to let us appreciate the fact that these wealthy people don't live a status life, and they don't care about status. So that is why he just captioned this book, The Millionaire Next Door. What it simply means is that they are actually living within us. They are living with us. They are not people that live with social class. They are not people that live in a high status environment, but they are living a simple life. They are kind of simple people that we live with. So, and what I've realized in today's world is that most of us, and I'll tell you, Doc, I'm not an exemption of that, we're all living status. We're living life to please others. Let me put it that way. We're living life that, oh, this my neighbor is having this car, I need to also drive CRV. This my neighbor is having a 5-bedroom house, I need to also have a 5-bedroom house. The interesting thing is that you might even end up just needing 1 or 2 rooms in it. The rest of the rooms useless. So I have been thinking about this, and I asked myself, why then are we living this status life we are living? We're always trying to please others and end up displeasing ourselves. Sometimes you even please the people and you come back to your room and you are weeping you are weeping. Why? Because you have overspent your money. You go out there, people are doing their thing. You never know what that person is. Then you try to live that life. So that is where I saw that he was trying to tell us how the wealthy people spend. He was trying to tell us like the coach they buy, make sure that the amount they spend in the coach is something that is not so much. The amount they spend on their cars. So that's why you try to tell us again that they use most of them use second-hand vehicles. They don't go buy new vehicle because they think the new vehicles are overpriced. So these are the two things that I just thought that maybe I should just re-echo, one on the planning and the second thing on the status life we have been living. Thank you, Doc.
Charlie, thank you very much. Crystal, do you want to wrap it up? I see your mic is unmuted.
Yeah, I think, anyway, so I think what Smila said is really, that's the thing. So we don't have to try to impress people. I think you've also mentioned, Irene also mentioned it. And then Isaac also mentioned, we don't have to impress people. We just have to live within our means and then try to, I remember the Christmas. I remember that when we were in Christmas, things were tough. My wife was saying, Charlie, I have to do this. I told her, look, please, I won't try and go and please anybody. Then later on, come and hide in my room and be suffering. What to even eat myself is a problem. So that it will be a problem. So I just live within my means. Whatever I'm able to do for somebody, the person should take it like that. And then that's it. So she was trying to give pressure and all that, but still, I still stuck with that. And I was able to manage ourselves. So we should be frugal. Frugality means that you save the smallest money you can be able to save, and you shouldn't waste it. And then also plan, and then also live within our means. I think it will help us do better. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, guys, it's been another fabulous meeting. I'm excited, and I like the inputs from every one of you. I mean, this book has been eye-opening for me, and I hope it has been same for you as well. But more importantly, I hope it has spurred you on to act on some of these things, so that you're not just going to be a thinker, but you're going to be a doer. You're not going to be a decision maker. Be a decision maker and not an action taker. So decide and act. And that's the most important thing, decide and then act. So thank you very much for being part of the Millionaire Next Door. I will definitely come back to this book and then we'll assess where everybody is after 1 year or 2 years. So there's an example.
Doc, I have a question.
Okay.
So with how things are going now and with the practicality of the book, where do we think is wise to invest? Because I can't be living frugal, I can't be living below my means. And then where do I keep the money? Where does the money go? So are there any safe investment options or opportunities out there that you guys would advise on?
So this question cannot be answered today. not that there are no answers, but you see, the current economic situation makes it a bit difficult to give a clear answer. So I'll defer this question, and I'm actually trying to invite one of our finance gurus to come in and help us address this very question. So if I'm successful, I'll let you guys know. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't save. It's better to develop the habits. Get into the habit of putting some money aside, and then we'll figure out where to put it once we get out of this chaos that is going on right now. And I mean, it is coming to an end. I mean, it's just the first quarter. By the end of the first quarter, we will know where we are going as a people in this country. So you continue developing the habit, and we will definitely know where to put that money when the time comes. I'm not qualified to answer that question right now today, but Sumaila's hand is up. Let's see what he has to share.
Yeah, Doc, not to answer the question, but just to refer her to a part of the book. And what I realized you're saying was the fact that with the wealthy people, when they are doing investments, they are not just investing and looking at the next 2 years, the next 5 years. Sure. They are making long-term investments. So what I've also seen with us is that most of us, and for that matter, even me here, whenever I'm doing investment, I'm just looking at in the next 1 year, how much am I getting? What am I getting out of it? But he tried to tell us that with the wealthy people, when they put in investment, there is something that they do, and maybe they are looking at it in the next 5, 10, 20 years or 15 years to reap the benefit out of. So that is the sense I actually got from the book, and then what you were saying. And then I tried to do some little bit research around. And what I realized was that one wealthy man was trying to explain the fact that if you want to invest, for instance, in the stock market, you try to find out probably a company or something that you can easily project that in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, in fact, they are going to make it big. Then you start the investment at that particular angle. So what happens is that by the 10 years to come, you realize that they are really making it big in the system. So it's more or less like something you need to also try to study what is happening. And then you are able to project what the future will look like. And then you divert your resources towards a future that you think is going to be looking so good. That's what I got from it. So yes, just like I said, Doc, I'm not answering the question, but I'm just actually trying to say something around what the book was saying.
Yeah, no, but and the other thing, I know time is up, but the other thing too is that a lot of us, we want to invest and sit back, relax, and enjoy. It doesn't work like that. One of the things I picked up in watching Shark Tank. I mean, I've actually watched Shark Tank. I've watched Dragon's Den, Charlie. I'm just watching all those things because I want to see the ideas out there. One of the key things is that a business might come to pitch, right? And they have good numbers. I mean, they are making money. And so you'd have expected that all the sharks would want to bid and be a part of the business. But then you hear one of them say that I don't have enough knowledge in this industry, so I'm out. And that's always sets my mind thinking, you see, you need to be knowledgeable about what you are investing into. You don't just carry money and just dump it because somebody said it's good. You know, you have to understand it. It's your money. You work hard for that money. So you cannot carry your hard-earned money, your blood. You remember from the book, Business Secret on the Bible, your money is your blood. Money is spiritual. You can't carry your spirit and give it to somebody without understanding what's going on. You understand? You need to have some basic understanding. If it's an industry that you're not familiar with, you're better off staying away, developing yourself and then coming back later to invest. You understand? So investment is good to invest in certain things that are low risk, like treasury bills and all those things, but those ones will not get you there. You need to take a bigger risk, right? But you need to take calculated risk. So understand the industry that you are going into, or go and learn about it before you jump in it. I mean, this is not answering your question, but I'm just trying to let you know that investment is not invest, sit back, relax, and enjoy. You have to be involved. You have to understand what is going on. If you don't have the knowledge, you need to hire somebody, pay somebody who has the knowledge to do the investment on your behalf. But you have to also understand that that person will take a commission or will take something out of your investment. So if you learn it yourself, you make significant return. So that's just how we want to end that one for now. But like I said, I'm trying to get some finance gurus to come on board. I'm actually, in fact, Isaac, we'll have a conversation about this one because we need to really understand this. And Isaac is a solid insurance guy. So Charlie, if you need insurance, whatever insurance, if you want to insure your hand, your leg, your eye, Isaac, even if you want to insure your heart, Charlie, Valentine just passed. You can talk to Isaac. So all right, so let me just wrap up. So we are moving on to the next book, The Psychology of Selling by Brian Tracy. So that's the book that we are going to. So please grab your copies and let's get going. So next week, Saturday, that's what we're going to be discussing. We are going to clear the first 4. Wait. I mean, there's a plan. Please refer to the plan. I think we are doing the first 3 chapters, if I'm not mistaken. I think we are doing the first 3 chapters next week. So please make sure that you've covered it. I mean, 3 chapters there. I mean, it's very easy. I mean, we've done higher numbers. So don't let 3 chapters scare you. And let's meet here on Saturday and let's get it done. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you for the insight and the wisdom shared. I'm happy. I'm very excited. See you next week. Stay blessed, guys.
See you, Doc.
All
Enjoy
right.
your week.
Bye,
Or
everyone.
weekend, rather.